Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, you guys can see by the title, today's video is going to be a bit different than my normal videos. I know that I've been gone for a couple months now, and that's actually why I'm back today, because I wanted to talk to you guys about what's been going on and basically what has consumed my life for the past couple months. So before I jump into the video, I want to mention if you guys hear some chomping, Blue is eating right now and he's got a bunch of romaine. So if you hear him chomping, he is chomping on his greens because I just fed him. Also, as you can see by the title, this video is going to be about my health, not my pets. I'm really sorry. I know you guys are desperate for pet videos. I have been receiving your comments and DMs and messages, and I know that you guys miss seeing the animals. I miss filming the animals. I miss making videos for you guys 100%, but this video is just going to be about my health and things I've been dealing with for the past couple months. I honestly didn't even know when I should film this or how to get this video started, because this is not something I talk about on my channel or have mentioned on here before. I kind of just feel like I owe it to my channel to explain why I've been gone, because I really did just kind of fall off the platform, and I've been gone for over 10 weeks now. And it's just been a long time coming. I'm not really sure where to start because it's so much, and so much has happened and so much has been going on. I kind of don't even know where to start. Yeah, but I guess I'll just say, first of all, for anyone who doesn't want to stick around for this whole video, because this is probably going to be a long video, I'm going to give a lot of details about what's been going on and what I've been dealing with and struggling with. But for anyone who is uninterested, like if you're here for just animals and you're not really interested in my personal life, I totally understand. The cheat sheet version is I got really sick about 11 weeks ago. Still not quite sure what kind of virus I had. And it made me really, really sick, really ill. And I'm still not completely better. It's been a really long journey with lots of details and things, which I'm going to go into in a second. But unfortunately, whatever it was that made me sick about 11 weeks ago, it did have some effect on my heart. And so I am on a heart monitor, which you can see here. And it is basically just monitoring my heart, which I'm going to go into detail about that as well, because it's a whole nother thing. But just know that I am not 100% okay. So I don't want to be like, oh, I'm totally fine. I'm like 80% better. But honestly, I just hope this video is helpful or informative to someone if you have dealt with this, or if you have what I have now found out is post-viral fatigue syndrome. I can hear Blue just chomping away. I just want to let you know that I am okay as I can possibly be right now, and I have faith that I'm going to be 100% okay one day, and that's kind of where it is right now. But if you would like more details on what's been going on and just to know where I've been, stick around for the rest of this video because I'm going to be explaining. The main reason I wanted to make this video is because I actually have a lot of friends and family who don't even know that I've been struggling with this kind of quietly. I haven't been present on social media. I haven't been on Instagram hardly. I think I've posted like 3 times in the past couple months because I've been bedridden and dealing with just the worst thing I've literally ever been through. And so I've been really absent on here on my channel, which I hate. I hate it. I love my channel. I've worked really hard to build my channel to where it is, and it sucks being away. It really just bothers me, which it feels really good to be filming right now, even though this video is kind of not a video I was looking forward to filming. But yeah, if you see me looking down or not looking at the camera or anything, it's because I actually have some stuff here I'm going to be reading when I give you guys all these details. I am a very private person, so I have been dealing with this very quietly. Health issues just scare me and I hate them, and so anytime there's something wrong, you know, I deal with it internally, and that's just kind of how I've always been. I'm a pretty private person. This channel is typically only talking about my pets and things like that. I don't really get into personal stuff a lot on my channel on purpose. I just kind of keep my personal life separate, which works for me. But I feel like making a video today about this because I'm feeling good today, and I think it's time. I just felt like it was time that I tell you guys what's been going on. Okay, so I guess let's start at the beginning because that's the best place to start. 11 weeks ago, give or take, over 2 months, I actually was just going about life as normal. Like everything's been good. I was outside one day, and I have a large property, so I will walk the property, feed the ducks. I'll go to get the mail at the end of the road, which we have a really long driveway, so it's a good little exercise, you know, a good little trek down there, and I do that every day. Or I did do that every day. And I just noticed one day I was on the phone, I believe with my sister or something, and I was walking to the end of the road, and I just got completely winded. Like I lost all of my air, and I was feeling fine prior to this, but I just got completely winded, and it was really odd to me that I I felt like I needed to sit down, and all I was doing was walking. I wasn't running or heavy lifting or anything. I was just walking. I ended up sitting, I'll never forget, I ended up sitting on my retaining wall out back, and I was talking on the phone, and I was like, you know, I think I need to hang up. Like, I just couldn't catch my breath. A couple days later, I noticed it becoming more and more prominent. Just whenever I would try to walk the property or go to feed the ducks or anything, I was just losing my breath. And I felt like I couldn't talk and walk at the same time, which is unusual for me. And so I then noticed that on top of that, I started getting heart palpitations. And I wasn't feeling fatigued or run down or anything. I didn't think I was getting sick. I just couldn't breathe. It was just the weirdest thing. And then the heart palpitations started. And that was about day 3. So at this point, this was a Friday, late afternoon, Patrick called me. He was on his way home from work. He called and asked me if I wanted to go to get Mexican for dinner at a Mexican restaurant in town. And I sat down and I was like sitting there on the phone with him, and I kind of got quiet, and I was like, you know, not saying anything. And he asked me, he was like, what's going on? Like, do you not want to go? Like, what's up? And I was like, I'm trying to think of a reason not to go. And he was like, what? Like, that was a really weird response, but it was the only thing that I could think. And the fact of the matter was, I didn't feel good, but I didn't know what was wrong. Like, I knew something was wrong, but I could not pinpoint what it was. My heart was palpitating and I couldn't breathe when I walked. So I just didn't feel good as a whole, but it felt like nothing I'd ever had before. He ended up coming home, we stayed in, and I, you know, explained what had been happening for about 3 days to him, you know, these symptoms, these weird, random little symptoms I was having. That night, for some reason, they got much worse, and I started vomiting. And that is just where I went downhill. About midnight that night, I was vomiting, my heart was racing, I was having palpitations, and it progressed very quickly to the point where I couldn't walk, like stand up and walk without my heart just taking off, and it was just insane. So the next morning, we ended up going to the emergency room, and they ran an EKG on my heart. They checked my blood pressure, they ran all these tests, and they came back with saying that they could see nothing wrong in my system. And that maybe it was a virus or something, but there's no way to tell if it was any type of a virus because all I had was vomiting and heart palpitations, really. And my lungs were clear. I had a CT scan with contrast. I had an x-ray of my lungs, every blood test, urinalysis, you name it, EKG, they ran it all. Everything was clear, like everything. Unfortunately, what happens whenever you're having any type of symptom and the doctor doesn't know what it is, they diagnose you with either a virus that they don't know what it is or anxiety, and then they send you home. I'm not gonna lie, I was like really stressed out after that ER visit because I knew that this wasn't anxiety. I have had anxiety in the past, never diagnosed, but I know I've had anxiety in the past, but this wasn't anxiety because I wasn't anxious about anything. This literally just started while I was like walking around and just doing normal things. It's just one of those things where whenever an ER doctor doesn't know what's wrong, they say that you're anxious and then they send you home, and it's really crap, and that hospital is actually crap, so like whatever. So I went home and I was just basically on some antibiotics that he gave me, which is crazy. He gave me these super strong antibiotics but didn't diagnose me with anything. There was nothing wrong with me on paper, but I was having all of these symptoms. And he told me to follow up with my GP, and so I was like, okay, that's what I'll do. Like a few days, maybe 4 or 5 days later, I did end up going to see my GP, and he ran a bunch of tests as well. Everything came back normal, and he said, it's probably just a virus. Give it 2 weeks to get out of your system. And I was like, okay, but what virus? Is there an antiviral I can take? Like, what is this? He said he didn't know, that there was no way to know what type of virus it was. And again, they sent me home with no medications or anything. He did give me an anti-nausea pill, but the nausea was so severe, it didn't do anything for me. So that's pretty much where I was for the first 2 weeks of this. However, every day it seemed like a new symptom was emerging, and I actually have a list here in my little Halloween Town notebook. Isn't this cute? I have a list of symptoms, which I will tell you, and these are everything that happened in the first 2 weeks of this virus that was unknown. Also, the emergency room, when I went the first time, they did not run a C test, you know? I don't want to get banned on YouTube or anything or censored, but basically at the emergency room, they didn't even run a C test because I had C in January of this year. So the odds of getting it twice is really slim. And then on top of that, I wasn't showing any symptoms of the C word. I was only vomiting, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, which for whatever reason, the doctor didn't seem to think it was the C word, and neither did my GP. Again, he diagnosed me with anxiety, so of course he wasn't, worried about what it actually was. My week 1, this was September 23rd. This is when all this happened. So I knew it wasn't a normal virus or just something that I picked up because I had never felt any of these symptoms before. It's the weirdest feeling, and it's all in here in your chest. It's not in your lungs, it's like here in your chest, like where the heart and the sternum and stuff is. And so I just knew it was something different. I knew it was something very bad. And so I was just a mess. I was crying, I was panicked. It was horrible. But I want to go over my symptoms in case this is helpful to anybody. If you had a sickness and these were your symptoms and they didn't go away after a month, 2 months, 6 weeks, whatever, then you may have what I ended up having, which is basically, they call it long C word, even if you didn't have C, but basically they call it long C, but before the C word event happened in the world, they called it post-viral fatigue syndrome, which this can happen after any virus. It can happen after a stomach virus, bacterial virus, anything. So that is what my cardiologist, who I'm seeing now, believes happened to me, and he believes that's what I have. So these were my list of symptoms. Breathlessness and the heart palpitations were the first symptoms that I had, but then they were quickly followed up over the coming days. And 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, I developed sore muscles, like all of my arm muscles, especially this elbow for some reason. I would just get really, really sore and feel heavy, very flu-like. It very much felt like the flu physically. I ended up having this really weird numb, tingly sensation in my arms and my legs, but only from the elbows down and then my shin down. So if I were in the bed and I didn't move my legs or arms for long enough, they would just go numb. It was the weirdest thing, and my GP said that's neurological symptoms. He was gonna send me to a neurologist. He never did. Love our healthcare system. Then I had severe chest pressure, which went along with the palpitations, and they still both happen, which I'll get into that. But basically the palpitations would cause chest pressure and pain, and that was just constant for weeks and months on end. That was just constant every single day. My pulse. Okay, so this was the worst, one of the worst symptoms of all of this was my POTS symptoms. So if you don't know what POTS is, it's basically a syndrome where when you go from a lying position to a upright position, so if you go from sitting to standing or laying to standing, it's where your BPM or your heartbeat per minute will jump like plus 30 plus points. So if you have like a resting heart rate, let's say like me, of like 70 to 75, when I would stand, it would shoot up to 120, 130 just from standing within a matter of seconds. That's really, really bad. That's not normal. And basically the cause of it is it's bad blood circulation. So all of my blood was basically in the lower half of my body. So whenever you stand, it's basically your heart compensating for the fact that it's not getting enough blood to your brain and your heart upwards. And so it's like your heart is having to compensate, which causes your heart to race, you have palpitations, and then you feel faint where you just need to sit down, lie back down or whatever. It was horrible. Actually, if you guys know the pet tuber on YouTube, Maddie Smith, she's a friend of mine. I've actually been texting her about all of this because she has POTS and she got it after a virus. So she and I have been talking about all of this. It's extremely common right now because of the C word that's going around, but it happens after any virus. You can get any virus, and this can do this to you if your immune system is compromised, if you have pre-existing conditions, if you have circulation problems, anything, you can get POTS. And there isn't really a one reason why people get it. It's still relatively unknown, and there's definitely not a lot of people researching it, or at least there wasn't prior to C word. But yeah, so I had POTS symptoms. It was horrible. And then my blood pressure. I have a very, very low blood pressure naturally. I'm always 90 over like 75, and my blood pressure was 120 over 80, I believe, which to the average person who's like normally sized and everything, that's completely normal. So even the emergency room, they were like, oh, your blood pressure is 120. That's totally normal. And my husband was like, Patrick, he was like, no, her blood pressure is never over 91. Like, you don't understand. There's something wrong. There's something really wrong with her. And he's like, she's been here to this hospital before. Look at her past blood tests. So they pulled my records. And yeah, my blood pressure, the previous times I'd been there, had never been over 91. And so they were like, oh, okay, we see, like, this is normal for normal people, but really, really high for her. So that was something that I dealt with. My blood pressure was through the roof. And then of course I had fatigue and PEM, which is post-exertional malaise, which is where, that was also the one thing that took me down the worst besides the palpitations and the POTS symptoms, was if I even walked for more than a few seconds or maybe a minute or tried to stand for that long, I would get extremely fatigued, where I just felt like I literally was like this, like hunkered over, like holding my chest. Like, I can't explain it. It's just the worst. It's literally the worst thing I've ever had and ever been through. I can't even explain it. So that was the first couple weeks. Those were all of my symptoms. Basically, heart palpitations, breathlessness, first two, then fatigue, nausea, vomiting, muscle soreness, the POTS symptoms, my high blood pressure, my heart rate racing, the chest pressure, chest pain, all of that type of stuff. So that was everything. That was all the symptoms that I had. Of course, I also had the leg and arm numbness. Now that's everything that I can really remember. There may have been more. It was literally like a bucket full of symptoms. But those were the most prominent ones that I had. Luckily, after 10 days, the nausea and vomiting stopped. I was really scared about that because the nausea meds only did so much. Like, they would work for maybe 10 minutes and then they would go away. But I was losing so much weight. I couldn't hold anything down. That was really scary. Poor Patrick, my husband, he went above and beyond. He went beyond sickness and health during this, because it was hard for him to understand what was wrong with me, because I couldn't explain what was wrong with me. And I had no doctor who could help me, and I had no medicine that could help me, and no diagnosis. So it's really difficult for people who have any type of a long-term virus or long-term symptoms, long C word, post-viral fatigue syndrome, ME/CFS, that's another thing that this can potentially turn into. Anyone who has anything like that, it's so incredibly hard to get a diagnosis, get people to believe you, to get doctors to not call it just anxiety, which is just such a word that they just give it, and to move you on and like get you out. It's such a ridiculous, it's hard to even comprehend it as I'm saying it, but it was hard for Patrick to understand what was wrong with me, but he tried. He was trying so hard. And for Patrick, I think the hardest thing for that 2 weeks for us was, he kept saying, it's gonna go away in a few days. You're gonna be better in a few days. And I was like laying in bed sobbing, telling him, you don't understand, this isn't going away. This is something really bad. I could feel it in my whole chest, like with my whole chest, literally. I could feel that this was something really, really bad. And it wasn't like any sickness I had ever had. It was like nothing I'd ever felt. It was just horrible. It was horrible. And the doctors didn't even know what it was. And I think that's, in and of itself, mentally, that's really hard to deal with. My mental health was deteriorating, just gone. I was a mess. And Patrick, bless him, he was like, stay positive. You're gonna be fine, baby. It's good. This is gonna go away. What can I do? And he was right there every single day. But I wasn't getting better. And after the third week, after 2 weeks, I thought I was feeling a little better, and then I made the mistake of like trying to get back to normal, because that's what everyone was telling me. You'll get better. My mom would tell me, she's like, you'll get better. It's been 2 weeks. I'm sure it's out of your system now. Just get up and try to go about life as normal. You need to get out of the bed. You need to do stuff. And I was, honest to gosh, trying to do that. I ended up actually getting up and getting ready and going to a wedding for a friend of mine. And I got up and went to a wedding after, I think it was my 3-week mark of being sick, and just to try to feel normal. And 2 days later, I ended up back in the emergency room a second time, because my body relapsed so badly. Because unfortunately, what I didn't know was I had this post-viral fatigue syndrome. And when you have that, the only thing you can do is rest. The best thing you can do is rest and more rest. You should not push yourself. When you think you're feeling better, stay in bed. When you think you're fully healed, stay in bed. Don't get up. Like literally, that is the best advice I can give to anyone who has this is if you can, stay in bed. Do not try to push through it. That is going to prolong your illness, which I didn't know that in my first 2 weeks. By week 3, I thought I was feeling a little better, and then I relapsed. That I wish someone would have told me that then, to just stay in bed, don't go to the wedding, don't get up, don't go outside, don't do anything. But I didn't know what I was up against because, again, I had no doctor to help me with this. This was all me researching, guessing, and stumbling my way through this illness. It was horrible. So a couple days after that wedding, like I mentioned, I ended up going back downhill. I relapsed from all my recovery. My energy was completely zapped again. I couldn't stand. My heart rate was just, I mean, racing, the palpitations, the fatigue, the sore, everything. It was all back, except for the nausea, thank goodness. Luckily the nausea was gone, but everything else was back full-fledged, and it was really, really hard on me mentally. And then one night, a couple days after that wedding, after I relapsed, I was in the bed and it was like 4 in the morning, and I woke up to try to go to the bathroom and I almost passed out. Like I almost blacked out. And that was the first time where, you know, I was really scared. Like I'd already been dealing with this for over 3 weeks, but I was really, really scared at that point because my heart was just racing so badly. The POTS symptoms, it was racing so badly just from standing in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom that I almost just fell out on the floor. And so I got back in the bed, and, you know, at this point I wasn't crying anymore. I cried like for 2 weeks, but unfortunately with a post-viral fatigue or a long C word or ME/CFS, any of those type of autonomic syndromes, which is what I have, you can't exert energy in any way, shape, or form, and crying is one of those. So whenever I would cry, I would start hyperventilating, not from panic or anxiety, but just because my lungs they aren't oxygenating my blood the proper way. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't have many answers. I'm not a doctor. But basically, that's what was happening, and it uses all of the energy that you've built up over the last day or 2 or 3 or week, and it just goes so much quicker than you can ever imagine. It's the craziest feeling. It's hard for me to even explain it with words. So I wasn't crying, but anyway, I almost passed out. I got back in the bed and I was laying there, and my heart rate, I could just feel my oxygen dropping because I exerted all my energy to go to the bathroom, and it just took everything I had. And so I got back in the bed and I was laying there, and I could just feel like myself taking like shallow breaths essentially. And I tapped Patrick and woke him up, and he was like, "What, baby?" And I was like, "I don't feel good." And he's like, "I know you don't, honey. You know, he's been hearing this for 3 weeks, right?" And I was like, "No, like, if I don't wake up in the morning, I need you to know that I love you, and I've been so happy with you and our life." And I was saying these things, like, I can't even believe I was saying them, but in retrospect, I know how I felt and I can believe it. There is actually a YouTube channel who I watch and who I found on this journey I've been through, which has helped me so much with recovery. It's Raelan Agle's channel, and she interviews people who have recovered from long C word, ME/CFS, any type of chronic fatigue syndrome, post-viral fatigue, like I believe I have. She interviews people who have fully recovered and gives them tips on how to recover. And I mean, her channel's been absolutely life-changing for me. I'm gonna link it in the description down below, but she had a girl on once, and I don't know if her name was Christina or what it was, but she was interviewing someone who had recovered, and the girl said the most true statement in the world, which is how I felt at 4 a.m. laying in the bed with Patrick while I was saying my final goodbyes. The girl said that the only way she could describe her post-viral fatigue syndrome was she felt like she was dying on a cellular level. You feel like your heart, your lungs, your nerves, your nervous system, your autonomic system, your muscles, everything in you is dying on a cellular level. You feel like you're dying on a cellular level, and you cannot explain it. There's no blood test that shows this. And that is the truest. It stuck with me, that from that one video that I watched on Raelan's channel, That is the truest thing I've ever heard in my life. You feel like you're dying on a cellular level, like everything is shutting down. There's so much to this, guys. Like there's so many details, and I'm doing my best to explain it, but it's really hard to understand. Unless you've been through it. I know Maddie has, my friend Maddie could explain it, but it's just the hardest thing to understand. And so anyway, I was laying in bed with Patrick at 4 in the morning, and you know, I was saying my final goodbyes, and I was telling him, I was like, listen, I don't feel well. I was like, my heart, I was like, it's my heart. I was like, there's something wrong with my heart. And if it gives out tonight, I just want you to know I love you. And I have loved our life together, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to me. And I just want you to know that I love you and I'm sorry, you know, and I was just saying that stuff, and I wasn't even crying. It was such a moment of acceptance of my situation, and that I tried to get better. I tried to go to doctors. No doctor could help me. There was no pill. There was nothing. And I just accepted death at that point. And I know it sounds so dramatic, but I felt like I was dying that night, and I was like, my heart's gonna stop. And so he got really scared, obviously. He's like, why are you talking like that? You know, don't say stuff like that. And I was like, okay, you know, I love you, good night. And I just kind of like turned my head over. Like just a couple hours later, he tried to wake me up, and I woke up, and but I had nothing. I could barely lift my head. I was so limp in the bed, and he put my pulse ox. I have a pulse oximeter that monitors my oxygen levels in my blood, in my body. My pulse ox said that was at 91-92, which is very, very low for your oxygen. And so I was barely breathing at that point. I mean, literally, my oxygen was at like a 91-92. And he got really scared again and was like, okay, we're going back to the emergency room. Again, all the tests, urinalysis, everything. And they said there was nothing wrong with me. I was weak, fatigued, you name it, all the symptoms. And they said there was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing they could see on paper, on a test, that was wrong with me. And so that was really hard. They sent me home again. And after that was where something clicked in me, and I just realized that, okay, doctors, big pharma, the hospitals, all of it, they're not going to help me. This is up to me. This is something I'm going to have to figure out for myself. And that is when I started searching online, because at this point I really hadn't been going online at all, because I was depending on doctors for a month. At that month mark, after being sent home from the ER a second time, and they literally told me, the nurse told me in the emergency room, we are not here to diagnose you. We are not going to tell you what's wrong with you. We just make sure that you're alive, and then we send you home. And she literally told me that while I was laying in the ER bed, and I'll never forget it, because it was like, you suck. Like this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like they had no interest in finding out what was wrong with me. Yeah, I mean, they sent me home, and that's, again, I realized I was on my own, and I started researching. I was sitting in bed, and I was like, okay, this is up to me. I have got to figure out what's wrong with me. I've got to find out what I'm missing, what is going on, and how do I fix this? Obviously, it's not going to be a medicine, so I've got to find, what is it? Is it a vitamin? Is it a supplement? What is it? Along the journey, weeks and weeks and weeks, again, still having all my symptoms, but staying in bed. I rest hard, severe rest, which I can't stress that enough. I started to feel a little bit better, but I also started to wander onto Facebook groups. And one of the Facebook groups that I got on was a long C word Facebook group. The one thing I'll say about the Facebook groups is, if you have what I have, or any type of long C word or post-viral fatigue or CFS anything, be careful getting into the Facebook groups, because while they are chocked full of people who are experiencing exactly what you have, you will feel validated. You will feel like, okay, I'm not crazy. It's not anxiety. You were told it was anxiety too, and so were you. You are going to find your people. I promise you that. But you will also find a lot of those people are long haulers, and they've had it for years or a decade or whatever, and it can be really discouraging to read people say that you will never get better and that you're going to have it forever. The fact is that may not be true for you. It's not true for everyone. It might not be true for me. And while my mental health was in the dumpster, going through what I'm still going through, and been going through, I had to I had to put that out of my head because I was still crying and having moments where I would break down and just couldn't believe this was happening. And I was mourning from my old life. I would mourn, you know, all the things. I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to have my chickens, my horse, like what is going on? I bought this farm, I'm not gonna be able to enjoy it. You know, like all the worst thoughts that are so toxic. And you see these people in these groups who feel the same way, and it can be really hard and discouraging. And so just be careful. You will find your people, but just know that you can recover. I'm 80% better. I'm gonna talk about how I got there, but you know, it is possible to recover from this. There are a lot of people who have recovered, and the deeper I dug, you know, I realized that a lot of recovery from these types of autonomic dysfunctions, vagus nerve, ME/CFS, long C word, post-viral fatigue, whatever, a lot of it is neurological and your autonomic system, so your nervous system and things like that, which can be retrained. They can be readapted and healed, basically. And a lot of your symptoms come from those things, and that's what I found. And so I started kind of spiraling down those research holes, and that's how I ended up finding Raelan Agle's channel here on YouTube, and it was life-changing. I got off of the Facebook groups because again, a lot of those people are looking to their doctors and medications, and they're, you know, a lot of those people are, you know, taking hosts of medications that treat the symptoms, but they're not treating the cause. And I just didn't want to go that route. I didn't want to go to my doctor and be like, okay, my legs are numb, let's take this pill for this. And then, okay, well, I'm also having headaches, let's treat, you know, okay, well then there's the nausea, there's the, you know, fatigue. Well, I just didn't want to go down the symptom route. I wanted to fix it as a whole. So yeah, that's how I ended up finding out about post-viral fatigue syndrome and chronic fatigue syndrome. And that's how I found Raelan Agle's channel here on YouTube. And like I said, her channel's amazing. She basically suffered from what I have for about 10 years and recovered. And now she interviews other people who have fully recovered and how they did it. And she asks such great questions. She goes into detail about it. She talks about, you know, she'll ask just the right questions, but she doesn't interrupt them. She lets them explain their full story, how they recovered. I just love her channel. It was so great to hear, and it gave me so much encouragement, and it helped my mental health so much. Mental health is like 75% of recovery from this, 100%. Staying positive. And then also again, in my research, I learned about something called DNRS, which is Dynamic Neural Retraining System, which is this right here. Now, this is basically a DVD set. I am not paid. Hi, I have no sponsors. I am just a sick person who was desperate to get better, and I found things that worked for me. And so this was one of the things that I found. This is actually a neural retraining program for your brain. This basically retrains your limbic system, which is your brain, to basically help your body to heal, because your brain, your heart, your body, it's all connected. And it's not to say that your symptoms are in your head. No, 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 no. Don't misunderstand. My symptoms are real. I have the medical bills to prove it. But the point is that if you lay in bed and cry every day and are, you know, feeling sorry for yourself and feeling like you're never going to heal, and you're, you know, pushing yourself or whatever, and you're not resting and staying positive, that can affect your healing just as much as what you're eating or pushing yourself. And so this was a huge part of my recovery that I still do, and I did for a long time. I watched all of these. So here is the DVD program. You can see it's like a fourfold. This is by Annie Hopper, and they have a website. Now, this is a very, very, very expensive program. If you cannot afford this, don't fret. There is the Lightning program. There are counselors. There are other websites that offer this same type method that just work in different ways. This is just the one that I did, and it was really, really helpful. I actually really liked this program, and it worked for me. It helped me a lot with my mental capacity, because my mental state was so jeopardized at this point. I mean, I literally was like, it's been 6 weeks, I'm never gonna get better, right? That's how I was feeling, and that's when I found this. And of course, Raelan's channel as well. The thing I liked about this, the premise of it, again, I'm not sponsored, this was just something that worked for me, was this taught me to not only stay positive, but the biggest thing that helped me with this is she teaches you to stop talking and focusing on your symptoms. Other than this video that I'm filming for you guys right now where I'm going over symptoms, I'm not allowed to talk about my symptoms at all to anyone. I'm not allowed to talk about them really with my husband, anything. So other than right now, I don't talk about, read about, think about, or focus on my symptoms. I pace, that's huge with recovery, pacing, and I have formed my baseline of my daily activities. So I know what I can do and can't do, and I don't do anything outside of that. And if I do anything outside of it, it's one day. Like if I'm gonna go visit my mom, I will have one day of visiting her, and then the next day I'm in bed all day. And that's, I can't tell you how life-changing that is for my recovery. Again, there are a lot of programs like this that will teach you how to live with what you have, but also how to recover and how to manage it. And it's been life-changing. I really love this. This particular program did come with some booklets. So it did come with workbooks and booklets. They're like this, what they look like. But again, the system is really expensive. DNRS, brain retraining, is vital for recovery from something like a post-viral fatigue syndrome. And then of course, while I was doing my brain retraining, watching Raelan's videos, focusing on my mental health, which was just, I needed a full new workup on my mental health. And while I was doing that, along with taking loads of vitamins, eating healthy as I possibly could to gain some weight back because I had lost so much weight, and just staying positive all the way around. But on top of all of that, another thing that and resting, stay in the bed. But on top of all of that, another thing that I did was I did find a cardiologist who got me in really quickly, and I was really grateful. I decided to see him because I wanted to make sure that whatever virus I had, the stomach virus that I had, whatever it was, that it didn't damage my heart, because I'm not confident that it didn't, because I'm having severe chest pain and palpitations still that never went away. And so I found a cardiologist, which of course you should do if you're having any type of heart anything. And that is why I am wearing this heart monitor, which you can see here. My cardiologist has me on this for about a month. I've been on it for almost a month now. I should be able to get off of this pretty soon. I don't know when. But it's been almost a month that I've been being monitored, which is actually a really long time. Maddie was only on hers for like a week, I think. I don't want to speak for her, but I believe she was only on hers for a week when she was being diagnosed for her POTS. And I've been on this one for almost a month, which is a really long time, but I think my cardiologist just wants to be really thorough, and I'm really grateful for that. You just wear this monitor. It's basically an adhesive sticker that's on me with a monitor that I have to plug in and charge when it goes dead. And it basically has a phone that looks like this that is connected to it. This is from the hospital. And if I have a palpitation, if I have any fatigue, chest tightness, any symptoms, I just go on here and I say, yes, I want to log my symptoms. And then I just go on there and log whatever I'm feeling, dealing with, anything like that, so that they can say, okay, she had this symptom. What was her heart doing at that moment? And that's kind of how that works. So this is basically what my heart monitor is connected to. I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to get this heart monitor as quick as I did. And I do see him again in a couple weeks, and we are going to be doing an ultrasound of my heart because I still haven't been able to have that. That took a long time to schedule. But I am going to be having an ultrasound to look at my valves and everything in a couple weeks. So wish me luck that goes well. So as far as where I am now, I am on about week 11. I think it's been 11 weeks since all this started. Right now, my only symptoms I have is palpitations, chest tightness. If I'm really active and my palpitations are really bad, it causes the chest pressure and the pain. But again, it's better now than it ever was. I'm about 80% healed, I would say, from all of this, maybe 80 or so. All of my POTS symptoms completely went away at week 8. I am so grateful. Oh my goodness. I have no numbness in any of my arms and legs anymore. I can stand and walk around a room and I don't lose my breath. I don't have my heart race, nothing like that. My palpitations only happen when I sit down to eat for some reason. I don't know why. But when I sit down after cooking dinner and I sit, and it may be because I'm cooking and walking around the kitchen and, you know, I'm really active for 30 minutes to an hour, and then I finally sit down, my heart does race and palpitate really badly. And then when I go to take a shower, usually it palpitates. I don't know why. It's like specific things I do, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. I don't think about it. I don't dwell on it. I don't talk about it. Again, I'm still doing my brain retraining. So I just, honestly, it keeps me positive. It keeps me hopeful, and it keeps me calm and like not anxious. So that's the whole point of the program that I'm doing. And it's helped me immensely, just mentally. I mean, it just helps you mentally. I don't even know how to explain it, but it does, and it works, and it worked for me. And I do get weakness and fatigue if I overexert myself. Like I went to Walmart for the first time last week, and I went to TSC because we had a grand opening at a new TSC in a city next to us, and I went there and we walked around the TSC, and it was like amazing. I had no symptoms, no POTS, other than my palpitations. That's all I had, and I can live with that. Like, I'm so grateful that I've gotten to this point, and honestly, I owe it all to resting and Patrick. I owe my healing to my sweet husband. I could cry like thinking about how much he's taking care of me and how far I've come, because it's been, without a doubt, the hardest 11 weeks of my entire life. It's been the worst thing I've ever gone through, hands down. I mean, like physically and mentally combined, this has been the worst thing that I've ever gone through. It has taxed my body so much, and I'm still healing, but I am getting better. I have faith. I am going to recover 100%. I am. My goal is spring. I would love to be like fully healed by spring. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but I know I'm like so much better than I was, and rest is key. Resting, laying in the bed, even when I feel amazing or I'm having a really, really good day, I'll stay in bed. After I'm done filming this video, I'm gonna go lay in the bed and relax. And that means resting, but also resting my mind. I'm reading a lot more. I'm staying off of social media. I don't know. It really is like a 10-prong healing approach, but it's working. And so this is just what I found that has really worked for me. So if you are someone out there who found this video somehow, I don't know how, I hope that you know that there is hope. If you have any of this stuff happen to you after a virus, whether it was C word, a stomach virus, which is what mine was, if you have anything like that, just know that I believe you can get through it. I am 80% better, and if this is as good as I ever get, I have healed so much. I'm not done. I'm not completely better. I still feel the symptoms inside me in my chest every day. I feel it every day, but I'm so much better than I was. And truly, resting, a good diet, lots of vitamins. Oh my goodness, so many vitamins. My DNRS retraining, brain retraining, watching Raelan's videos and just listening to other people, how they recovered and how they healed, and pacing your day. Do not push yourself to do anything you can't do. Stay in bed and rest. If you can't do it, put it off. Delegate it out to someone else. God bless my husband. All of those things have truly helped me to heal, to get to where I am, and I'm so grateful. But like I said, I would not be where I am without my husband and him allowing me to rest, and like severe rest where you get in bed and you don't get up for anything other than like to walk the dogs or take a shower. Literally, that's it. I did that for like a month. It was hard, mentally hard, but it worked, and I owe most of my recovery to Patrick. He is a wonderful husband. He took sickness and health to a whole new level in our marriage, and I could not be more grateful to him. I think I say it every single day to him, like, thank you. I tell him all the time, thank you for helping me heal. Thank you for helping me recover as much as I have. Like, thank you, you know. That is where I'm at. That is the update. That is where I've been for over 2 months, and I'm still dealing with it. I'm still healing, but I'm getting there. I will get there. So no worries. I don't know if I'm going to make a follow-up video or an update video to this one that I just made. I think I covered everything in this that I wanted to talk about with this. If you guys want an update one day, let me know in the comments down below if you want me to follow up in a few months or something. I don't know where I'll be then, but I hope I'll be 100% better. I believe I will be because I do feel so much better now. For the record, I'm still technically undiagnosed. I am still seeing my cardiologist. I will go again and see him. However, this did happen after a virus. That is what caused this for me. However, the ultimate, like, what causes this, no one knows. They are studying it, long C word, you know, ME, CFS, all that, autonomic diseases, all that type of stuff. They are still studying it, but there is just not enough research on it, to be fair. And they are trying. I do think there are a lot of doctors who are looking at it. I know the FLCCC has a lot of research on it. I'll actually leave that link down below for anyone suffering with long C word, which is very similar to what I have, maybe what I have, who knows. But the FLCCC has a protocol that is targeted to people who are trying to recover. I will leave that link down there as well. Any resources that helped me, I will put them in the links down below. No ads. I'm not paid to say anything I've said. I love Raelan's channel. Rest worked for me. I have a wonderful husband. Vitamins and supplements, nutrition, rest again. You know, taking my time, pacing. The FLCCC protocol, I did do a lot of that, so I'll put that down there. And then my DNRS retraining, brain retraining, I will leave a link for that website as well. However, do not feel obligated to do that one. There are lots of other ones online that you could do. If you're still here and you're still watching, thank you so much for watching this video. It means you cared to know what was going on with me. I really appreciate you watching. And I think I mentioned everything. I'm sure when I'm editing this back, I'm gonna remember like a million things I wanted to say. Maybe I'll edit them in somehow, unless this video is an hour, and then I won't. But thank you guys so much for watching. Do want to mention really quickly, while I was sick in bed recovering, Patrick did build me my shelving unit in here in the pet room. This is the new pet room setup, basically. It's not finished, but Patrick did a great job on it. Sweetest husband ever. He did great, and it's almost done. So we're just gonna get some lighting and stuff, but hopefully this will be the new background for filming. Wouldn't that be amazing? I won't be like outside and, I don't know, on the couch or wherever, kitchen floor, wherever I've been filming. I don't even know. My life is a mess, but hopefully I'll be in here filming the next time you see me. So that's really exciting. Thank you, Patrick, again. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching this video. I'm gonna go. I've been rambling for a very long time. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or anything, leave it in the comments down below. I will be replying to them. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Be kind. Bye.